Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Karen. This is my channel, Nobody Karens. And today I kind of want to talk about something a little serious. So I've been battling depression. It's no secret. I've actually battled depression since I was 8 years old. And what I want to talk about today is suicide. So we all know that there's tons of statistics out there about suicide, and we know how high they are, and it's really not something to play around with. It's a really tough thing to deal with, and it's hard to get thoughts like that out of your brain. I had my first suicide attempt when I was 8 years old. And that's when I first started having like suicidal thoughts. My parents were separated at the time, and I had a really hard time with that. I'm an only child, so I of course took the blame, and I felt like everything was my fault. And I was caught in the middle, and it was really hard. And I remember having a really bad day at school or something like that, and we lived in Victorville, California. So we lived in the desert, and we lived pretty much in the middle of nowhere. We lived on an acre of land, and there was 3 mobile homes on there, and my Nana, my aunt, and my 2 cousins lived in one. My mom and myself lived in another. And of course my cousins and I went to the same school, and my mom picked us up from school, and we were heading home. I didn't have a good day. I kind of just didn't want to be bothered, and my cousin, I think, kept like poking at me or bothering me or something, like cousins do, because he's like a big brother to me, and I love him to death. I love all my cousins to death, actually. They're the closest things I have to siblings. So anyways, I was having a bad day. He was like poking at me, and I think I snapped back at him, and my mom told me to get out and walk the rest of the way home. And where she made me get out at, I could see our home, and I would say it was maybe like a mile from the main road to our house, and it was like a dirt road we had to we had to drive on. And I could see our house. Like, it wasn't that far at all. So don't think like she's cruel or anything. My mom's a little old school. If I never really got spanked, but if I were to get in trouble, I would have gotten spanked. And you know what? They probably should have spanked me more, actually. So anyways, so she tells me to get out and walk, and I decide to walk the other way. I walked towards the main road instead. And I know it's kind of dumb, but my plan was to jump in front of a car. I mean, the cars were going probably like 60 miles an hour on that road, if not faster. And I was gonna just jump out and, hope that would be the end. And my cousin, the one who's bothering me, he noticed that I didn't start walking home, and he showed up on his bike, on his bicycle, and he was actually concerned for me, and he didn't, he knew it was dangerous, and he was more of the risk taker. He got in trouble the most, but he knew it was kind of, a scary moment. And then my mom showed up in the car and yelled at me to get in the car. So that was my first brush with suicide. That was my plan. I thought it would work, and I just didn't want to be around anymore. I didn't want to have to deal with it anymore. I didn't want to be caught in the middle anymore. I thought life was so hard then, and boy was I wrong, because it gets much harder. But and I even wrote myself a suicide note at one point when I was 8, and I had a constant dream where I was falling off of a roof onto a knife. I don't know. I had some weird dreams. I mean, I'm not psycho or anything. I mean, these are just real feelings. These are real things that have happened to me. And like I've said, I'm not going to lie. I don't have any reason to lie. And I think people can learn from my experience. So when I was 8, I started therapy. And I remember going, and it was like your typical, like, draw your family and things like that. And I was depressed. I didn't take any medicine back then or anything like that because of it, but it was a scary time. And It was a long time before I actually had another kind of suicide thought. My next one came about 10 years later when I was 18. My parents, we had lived in California for 18 years, born and raised. My parents, their whole life, and me, my whole life up into them, decided that they were going to move. And we moved a year sooner than what I thought we were going to. And I had grown up around these people in this neighborhood for 6 years, which is the longest we've ever lived somewhere. And I was just heartbroken that I was going to have to move away from everything I knew. All my friends, even though I didn't have that many. But, I mean, it was just, I thought it was the end of the world, and that's when I started cutting myself. I would cut my wrists. But nothing where you can, like, see any scars or anything right now. I was very light, because I'm actually not one for pain. Like I said, if I were going to get hit by a car, I would hope it'd be quick and fast. I don't want to slowly bleed out. But that's neither here nor there. So that was my second brush with it. And that was pretty scary too, because someone, when I did it I would do it at work with box cutter sometimes. And someone saw me do it, one of my managers, and he actually never said anything. Which, I mean, that is an awkward position to be put in. But at the same time, like, think about the well-being of that person. But, I mean, obviously, I've never done it. They were cries for help, and that's what it usually is. When someone tries to commit suicide, they are cries for help. Don't disregard someone when they say they need help, or that, they just wish they weren't there. That, life would be easier if I weren't around, my parents would be happier, my siblings would be happy. We think that, as people who are depressed and who have suicidal thoughts, we just think things would just be easier if I wasn't there. My parents would be happier. My parents wouldn't have to waste so much money on me. And really, like I mentioned before, I'm an only child. I'm my parents' legacy. I mean, if you think about it, they don't want to come home and see me, dead on the floor. Think about that. Think about your family members or your significant other or your dog even. You don't want them to walk in a room and see you there, because just think about how many years of therapy they're going to have to go through. So save yourself some time and money, or them some time and money, and just go to therapy yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to call suicide hotlines. Don't be afraid to confide into somebody. It's so important to talk to people when you're having a rough time. Don't bottle it up inside, because the next thing you know, you may not be there, or your friend may not be there. So I just want to talk about my suicide. I just want to come on here and talk about my kind of suicide experiences. I mean, in the last year and a half, of course, I've had thoughts. I've never had a plan. I've never had any intent to do anything. But I just keep thinking the pain would go away if I wasn't here. And, money, I wouldn't have to worry about money if I wasn't here. I just feel like a weight would be lifted off of everybody who knew me if I wasn't here. And that's not always true. My parents would miss me. My grandmother would miss me. My dog would miss me. There are so many people that love you. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. There's so many people that love you. So, make sure you do talk to people about it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I asked for help, and I'm glad I did, because who knows where we would be today if I didn't, or where I wouldn't be today if I didn't. So, suicide is a serious thing. It's hard not to think about those thoughts once they're in your head. So you have to challenge those negative thoughts. You have to think of ways to, get around it. And like, I have this right here. I have this beautiful picture of my grandmother when she was younger, and then her probably about a month or so ago when she got her hair done. And I just think about how sad and disappointed she would be if I wasn't there to write her letters or call her. And I have it right here on my board so that way I can always look at it. So, I mean, even if you have to do that, if you have to put something up, you know, a picture of your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your dog, your cat, your whoever, your grandmother, your mom, your dad, in front of you every day where you're gonna see it and that's gonna keep pushing you, then do that. But don't just let it go. Don't think it's not important to talk about. Don't think that your feelings don't matter, because it is something that needs to be talked about and you need help. And that's another reason why I want to go into like therapy or social work, because I want to help people who are like me. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about that real quick, because I've been struggling a little bit with depression and my anxiety, panic attacks, and just having a hard time the last few days. So I thought, what better way to help myself than to talk about it. So I really appreciate you guys listening. Sorry to get a little emotional, but I mean, those are my feelings. I mean, this is me. I'm a person too. So thank you so much, you guys. Like I said, I really appreciate it, and I hope you keep watching my videos. And if there's anything you want to talk about, you know, comment below, or, you know, if you know, I don't know, it's just, if you don't want to talk about it in the comments, just say, can you email me and give me your email or whatever, you know, I will be more than happy to talk to you or to help you. So thank you so much, you guys. Thanksgiving's coming up. I can't wait. I love turkey and mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes. So there's something to look forward to, and then after that's Christmas, and I love Christmas. It's my favorite. I love the lights. I love trees. I love all of that. So I hope you guys have a good couple weeks, and like I said, if there's anything you want to talk about, let me know and I will make a video about it. But other than that, I will see you next time. Thank you guys. Bye.